Today on the workbench, I've got a Athearn GP38-2. This is one of the ready-to-roll locomotives, and they're just, to me, they just seem like the Athearn Blue Box. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I have a Tsunami Soundtraxx decoder out of an Athearn Genesis unit that I'm going to put in this one. And I've already done a stall test on this, and I'll include that there in the video. In this video, I don't think I've ever done a stall test and showed it. But anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll start taking this apart and see if we can get our decoder installed. So let's see. Oop. Yeah, there we'll have to have a handrail to fix. But anyway, so let's see. What am I going to need here? First thing I'm going to need is a screwdriver. All right. Now to get these apart, especially this one, I have two of these. There are four plastic clips in here that you just push and the body will come off of it. So let me do that. It's kind of hard to do that in the camera, but then those just pull off. And that is our locomotive in a nutshell. I will be changing these couplers out. This one's no good. I got these off of eBay fairly cheap for the pair of them. And I do like to go through, and I like to mark the front and the back. So, of course, this is the front, and this is the engineer side. This is the fireman side. And then we have rear. Now, what I'll end up doing is I'll pull this bar out, and I am going to change this light out here, this bulb, and I'll put an LED in. But this gives me my right hand side pickup, and also the same here up the front, and I can solder to that. And then for my ground, or for the pickup on the fireman's side, I'll end up I'll drill a hole in here and tap a brass screw in to get my pickup, because the left hand side uses the frame as the pickup. So I'll end up taking this whole mount off right here, and I'll cut this down, because I say they're fairly hard to get off, but once I say that, then most of the time I can just take and I'll just bend it. So I know I'm not going to save that and reuse it. If I was going to reuse it, I'd take this out, which has a little knob in there pinned over. So, and we will have to isolate our motor from the frame. And to take that motor out, there are 4 screws. The older blue box units and I don't have any of the old mounts out of anything right now, but they just push down into these holes, and you could mess them up really easily. So this is a better system. You can actually buy those mounts, and I change them out. If I do a blue box, I change the original mounts out. So, but I'll have to make I'll get some styrene, and I'll make a board to put to set the decoder on. So let's get started here. I'll pull the motor out. Find me a Phillips screwdriver here. That's a little big for what I need. There we go. So we'll pull these 4 screws out. Lay that off to the side. There's that, and I'll go ahead and mark this. That way I know that was the front end of that locomotive, or front end of that motor, and those just pull right out. The one time. Yeah, let me go through, and I'll pull the gearbox cover off. Yep, it's going to be one of those days. One of those days where nothing wants to go the way I want it to. There. So now I can go in and insulate this from the because that's one of the pickups right there. That's our left side pickup on the bottom. Actually, I said that wrong. That is not the left side pickup. Never mind. Ignore that. Okay. But I'll have to clean that up, get some Kapton tape, and then we'll block that off and pull these off, these motor mounts. These little clips right here, I end up cutting them off. So we'll get some more material out here, and then we'll get started on this. Okay, we're back here, and just kind of looking through here. I've got the motor out, and right now I believe I am ready to, we need to isolate the motor. So the way we'll do that is, find me a good pointer here. I'll end up right in here. I'll put some Kapton tape that will ensure that this bottom of the motor here doesn't short itself out when we put it back in. And then I'll go through and I'll put a screw. I'm going to take a number 256 screw, a brass screw, and instead of, well, there are a couple ways to do this, especially to get the electrical pickup on the fireman's side or the left-hand side of the locomotive. Now what I could do, let me pull this out, is I could pull these frames off. Actually, I wouldn't have to on this one. I could solder a wire right here to this little rivet, or whatever you want to call it, and that would give me pickup here, and I could do the same on the engineer's side, and that would give me pickup on that side. Do that front and back, and that would be good. You'd have your pickup. Now with these old, well, I keep wanting to call this a blue box. It's not a blue box. It is a ready to roll. So, but they're made the same way. So what I can do to get my pickup on the fireman's side is I can drill and tap a small hole in the body, because what is happening here is that pickup, this is a pickup for the left hand side, and this is the pickup for the right hand side. So this corresponds, when you flip the frame over, to this, where this pin is. You can see this is bare metal. This is the pickup for that side of the locomotive. So, saying that, when I drill a hole and tap it and put a screw in, wherever I put it, and I'm not sure yet where I'm going to put it, I got to check the body and make sure things will fit, then that'll be our pickup for the left hand side. And then I'll only have to solder a wire from here to here, and that'll get my right hand side. And by putting the one screw in, that uses the whole of the undercarriage as a pickup. So, and the back truck is the same. It has the bare metal on that and the bare metal underneath. So that is how, and so that there's two ways to do it. And there may be more than that, but that's the two ways I've used. So what we'll do is we'll take our body, and I'm going to try and put this screw up in here somewhere, and it might be right in here. But what I need to do is check to see that it will actually fit under the body. And so let's set this back on here. Oh. And pull my light down here a little bit so I can see. I'm looking through a magnifier. And that's really not helping me. I need to pick. Let me get my flashlight here. Well, what did I do with my flashlight? Oh. Okay. I know just as soon as I get up. Oh, there it is, right in front of me. Okay. Now it looks like, and I don't think you'll be able to see this, but between the frame, pull this off here, between the frame and the body right in here, there's probably 3/16 of an inch right in here. So, and actually I'll put it on, this is the, I want to put it on the fireman side. So, let me see if I can light that up. Right in there. You can see there's plenty of room right there for what I need to do. So, let's take, and we'll kind of locate this. Just going to locate it by eye. I don't think I need to be precise on my measurements here. Okay. Somewhere right around that bolster, where that bolster comes across, I've got plenty of room. So that'll locate that, or somewhere right around where that sticker is, right in the front of it. Okay. Yeah. Let me set that back off to the side. So I'll be able to drill a hole right in here, and I'll get my Dremel out, put that out of the way, that out of the way, and Dremel. Okay. And let's see. So right here is my 256 tap and drill. I can't remember what number size that is. So let me dig my calipers out here. This is one of the handiest things that you can have, and I'll show you here in a second. Get it out. Keep that in its case. Set of digital calipers. These are Shars, and they're not really that expensive. And it does metric and standard. So let me get a measurement on this bit here. 0.0695, 695 10,000ths. Now, let me convert that over, pull out my little handy dandy chart to give us a drill size. Let's see, 0.0695. It's close. It's a number 50 of this little Starrett chart to convert over. So a number 50, and it even gives you the tap size. The drill size is a 50, 256 tap. Okay. And a number 50 drill bit is actually 700 thousandths. So a number 51 is 670 thousandths. So now that we've got that, let me put my calipers back. Turn that off. And we'll put that away, and we'll be ready to drill our hole after I put this in the Dremel. Okay. Put something underneath that. Really don't like that, but it's going to work. So we'll turn my Dremel on here, slow it down, and we'll try and drill this out. I'm not applying a lot of pressure here. And if I go all the way through, it'll be fine. But I don't need to. So take that out. Blow that off. Let me kind of maneuver some of this stuff around and get our metal shavings out of the way. Probably should break out vacuum and sweep that off. But that'll be good. Okay, now we will what did I do? Got to find, there's my tap handle. So I've got a tap handle here, and I believe this one in it is a 256 already. Yep. And I like these ones that have the square end instead of, and this is a 256 tap right here, instead of the round ones. The round ones are good for plastic. These square ones are better for metal, so I can get a better grip on it. Okay, and I didn't go all the way through that, which is no big deal. Pulled some paint off there, that's fine. And I am going to change these couplers out, so I'm not real worried about those. But let me take that off there, that way I can rest it on the... It's resting on the fuel tank there, basically. So, I don't know if I can zoom in here. Get you a shot of that hole. And big old fingers in the way there. Let me see. Get this started. And those are only 1/8" screws. So we'll go down a little bit and then back it off to break the chip out. And then we'll start back down through. And I believe I just bottomed out right there. Yep. Okay. So we'll get this out of here. These are really delicate, so I don't want to. Okay, I put that back in here. There's that. Move this out of the way. Actually, I'm going to put it away. I won't have to fool with the thing. Don't have to worry about losing it. Okay, now let's get one of our tiny screws out. If you can see that now, I don't think you can see where I tapped that in there. Yep, it's not gonna focus there. Okay, and then so here, nope, there's my 256 screw. Let me get this started. And of course, the bad thing about that being brass, I can't use my magnetic screwdriver on it. But luckily, it will stick somewhat. Okay. So there's that. And now what I'll do is I'll be able to solder right to that screw, and that'll give me my pickup. So, all right, where are we at now? Let me back out of here a little bit. And flip that soldering gun on. One of these days, I need to come through clean off my workbench. And when I do, I'll show you what I have on my workbench. Actually, I'll take a set of this front truck, put it back under here, and then let me break out some. I'm going to break out the flux. At least this one, that I can solder to fairly easy. Well, the brass will solder easily. Now I could take and solder or drill and tap these for the other pickups to solder to. But what I am going to do, and what I'd really like to find is one of the solderless connections, because I think Digitrax used to make a kit to convert these over, and what they did, they just slipped on. They were a solderless connection, and you could just plug them in, and that's all you had to do with it. So if I could find something like that now, of course, like I say, I could take and drill that out and tap it, but I really don't want to do that. I don't need to. I can heat that up and solder it. Get this file out. Clean that up just a little bit. I'll clean this one off. And then I'll put some flux on that. What I need is an acid-based flux, and that would help. Let me see, that's a rosin flux. The rosin flux doesn't do as well. So let me go get some acid core flux. Okay, well, my search for acid core flux was in vain. Or acid flux, I mean. I don't know why I keep saying core. So I'm going to use my Kestrels. I mean, it'll work, but there are better methods. So let me clean this tip off. Heat that up. It will take. It just so we'll go with that. Doesn't look pretty. Clean that tip off a little bit before I solder that piece of brass. Try to fill up that slot with solder. That'll work. Okay, so right now we are set to start wiring. I want to clean off the flux. Let's see, what do I want to use to clean that off with? Get my denatured alcohol. I like the denatured alcohol better than the isopropyl alcohol. Of course, this is, did I say that wrong? Yeah, whatever. Denatured alcohol. That's what we're going to clean with. We're going to try to clean with. Cap that back up. Set it in there. Okay. Now we are ready to, let's isolate the motor. Don't need that. Now, when you take this off, you got to take this bottom piece of copper off here. When you do, be very careful because the brushes are on this end and they are spring loaded. And they will go flying if you're not careful. See that spring? Now what I want to do is I want to take those two little notches out of there. I could bend them in, whatever. But let's see. I'm just going to break it off. Drop that. Break that side off. I'll squeeze that to get that little nub flush. So there we have that. And I can take and I'll have to put a bead of solder on this, tin that up, put a wire on it, and then I'll tin the other side. We'll be ready to go. First I'm going to put some Kapton tape in the bottom of that, just across that bare spot. I've got two widths of tape. So cut a piece. We'll run some that alcohol in there, clean that up a little bit. Get some of that grease out of there. And now I'll put this down in the corner like that. Get that in there. So there's our Kapton tape. That will isolate that motor. Won't have to worry about it. And let's see now. I need a piece of gray wire. And I'm going to use this ESU wire. And it is a 36 gauge wire. So I shouldn't need a very big piece of it. Well, and I had to grab it and start it from the bottom. Why did I do that? Okay, there's that. Get my wire cutters, cut a length off of that. Put that away. And then I want to get a piece of orange. Well, did it again. Okay. Cut me a length of orange there. And the orange and the gray are the left and right side of the motor pickups. So this is where we will take and put a little bit of we'll put these wires on the end here. So I put some flux there, some flux there. You go ahead and strip that wire. That wire is easy enough to strip with your fingernails. I don't have to get out my strippers for that. So there's that. While I'm soldering, I'll just dab some flux there. Dab some on that one. Back to my solder. And then all we're going to do is touch off on that. And then get a little more solder. Touch off on that one. And then the same thing on this. One more time. There's our solder joint. For the bottom, we are going to be using our gray. And then for the top, so there's that. I'm ready to put this back into the motor, or the, yeah. Oh, dropped my front truck. So I've got my rear drive shaft in there. I want to make sure that I'm going to be isolated. I don't know if you can see up in there or not. See that where that gray wire is? That is actually up into there. So I need another little piece of Kapton tape to seal that off. Cut that. Get that in there. Okay, now Wires out of the way. My drive shaft back up here. Slide that all together. Oh, dummy. Forgot the motor mounts. Get those put on. One on each side. That'll really help with the isolating the motor from the frame. So, there. That looks like we are in good shape with that. I want to check, shine a light down in here, make sure I'm not touching anything, no copper touching the frame. Okay, our Kapton tape is where it needs to be. Now we'll go ahead and put the 4 screws back in the mounts. There's one. At least these are magnetic. Didn't seem to help me a lot. We'll just do it this way. Get that back in there. And I know I'm all over here. I need to probably ought to zoom that camera back out. Get that put in there. Okay, so there's that. Now, we'll go ahead, we'll put our front truck back on. I'm going to put the the drive shaft back in. And since I have that off, I want to go ahead and put some lube on it. And I will end up lubing the other side too. So there's that. We put our, let me roll that around there for a minute. Get some of that moving in there. And that still has grease in it. And we'll snap this back into place. So there's that. So right now we are set up. That's still not pretty. But it will hold a wire. For that one, what I need to do is go from here to here with a red wire. And I never thought of it. The red low sound wire. Let me take this out of the package. I couldn't really tell it when I got it out. This is actually the red that I used on that motor. I do have some orange, so let me get that out. So you can compare the two. Now right there you can tell a difference. But when it's by itself, that looks orange, and that looks orange. But it is what it is. And I guess I could change it since it's right there on the top. Maybe I'll do that. Well, I will do it. Just because. Alright, cut me a length of orange wire. So there's my orange. And I'll need a length of black wire to go to that brass screw that we put in. Let me find. There it is. Now if I can get it off of the so I need a piece of black. There's my black. Put this away. Strip my black wire. Once again, I'm going to move out on this. That way I don't have to be so close to my work. So there's that stripped. Get this one stripped. There's that one stripped. Need some flux on both. There's that one fluxed. There's that one fluxed. Back to ye old soldering iron. Let me get that body out of the way. Clean that tip off a little bit. Okay, we got that. Let's touch that. So there's my black. I want to remove this one, the red, put the orange in there. And I've already fluxed that, and I'll get a little more solder on that tip. Okay, there's that. So now this red will go, and I can reuse it. It's no biggie that I messed it up because it is long enough. Strip that off. Break out my flux again. Clean that tip. Little solder. And we'll touch off on that. And then we'll solder that. And I'm trying to work back here. Let me turn that around. I'll leave myself a little extra, that way I'll have room to be able to move that up and down. Okay, so there is that. Got the wires ready for the motor, got my wires ready for my pickups. Now I have to break out the decoder and boy, I am losing my mind. I had a box decoders in it. Okay, what do we got here? That's not it. This is it. Alright, here's my GP38-2 decoder with speaker, and like I say, that did come out of an Athearn Genesis. So what I'll need to do is, and of course they have this labeled front, that's the rear. That makes sense, doesn't it? And I can pull the speakers off. These are 6-function decoders. 8-ohm speaker. What I'll have to do, what I'm going to do, turn that back around to where the front's over here. I'll have to make I'll cut a piece of styrene, set this on a piece of styrene, and then I'll be able to solder all of my connections up. I'm going to have to get a manual out to make sure what all my connections are. I know these two on this end and these two are pickups from the front and rear trucks. So the way I'll do this is, this will be, let me get a better pointer, and I'll try and zoom in here just a little bit. So this will be my black wire. This and this will be red wires. This one should be a black wire, but I won't be using it. I think that's the way those actually go, if I remember it right. So of course then you have these are your speaker wires, motor minus, motor negative, and let's see, I've got a 50-50 shot at this. My positive motor should be my orange. Negative motor should be gray. So, and like I say, now I could be wrong because I'm just saying this off the top of my head. I'll get a manual out and I'll look before I actually do it. But this will mount up in here. Actually, some of these, let me scoot this out of the way and we'll take a look at the body here. These shells have a weight right in here, and there's like a cavity, I guess you would call it, in here underneath the radiator fans, or fan. Now the older style, this comes off, but this looks like, this newer style looks like it's made well, I don't know, I can't tell. But I really hate to lose the weight out of that, is what I'm saying. But I could take, and if that comes off, I've put decoders in there before because they fit just perfectly. Of course, now that may be, alright, it's not long enough, that little area is not big enough for that decoder. So I'll pull that out. That way I can save myself from having to put that in there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll have to measure this depth right here to see how big a piece of styrene I can put in there to lay that in, or on. So that won't be too bad. Okay. And you can see right here, there's two of these clips that we pull the body mounts off with. If you look, there's two broke in, and that's the way it came when I bought it. At least these two are solid, so that it won't hurt anything. But I didn't break them when I pulled them off. Now, you saw me when I pulled this off, this had lead weights in the bottom stuck on there with double-sided tape. Let me get one of these out. So we had that stuck right there and right there. So this decoder, let me just for comparison, and I'll break out my calipers again and measure this to make sure that it will fit. I don't know, that would be really close. So if that's the case, may have to do a little bit of modification, but I'm gonna have to take. See, it's still got some weights in it. One up there in the front, in the cab, and then there's one back here in the back. I'll have to take it out to build my enclosure for that speaker that will be pointed down. So I've still got a lot of work to do on this. Yeah, it'd be nice if that weight wasn't in the top. I may have to pull that out. Mount that decoder up there. But boy, for the life of me. Oop. It does come off. That whole section will pop off. Let me see. Trying to be as delicate as I can. I should have taken the handrails off. Yeah, see, that's removable. I'll probably stab myself in the hand with a screwdriver in a minute. Maybe I'm not prying it the wrong way. Oh, thought I had it. There we go. Okay, there. That popped that up out of there. So what we'll have, let's just set it right on top of the locomotive and that'll make it easier. But pop that weight out of there. There's that, just in there with double-sided tape. Turn that around toward the front, and I think what I'll have to do is come in here and cut this out, and then cut this side out. Take that other weight out of there in the rear. And that should let that slide in there. That sits. Okay, so I can, if I have to, I can take this edge off and this edge off. That way my decoder will set down in. I think that may be what I have to do. And then that will give me plenty of room fit that right in there. So I think that's what we'll end up doing. Let me get out my... Boy, that's not going to work. That's too big. Oh. Got a little pair of shears here. Xuron brand shears. I don't know. That's pretty thick right there. Yeah, I'll never cut that with that. I'll probably have to get my Dremel out and go at that just a little bit. That way I wouldn't do any damage to it. So let me find I've got a little saw there. I don't know if this bit I might be able to saw that out with that. That's for metal. I've got some blades. I've actually got a little saw. Maybe I'll try that. What could it hurt? I'll leave that other one out for a second. Get this in here. And I'm going to move that undercarriage out of the way there, just so we won't be throwing stuff all over it. Turn my soldering iron off. I may be done soldering for today. But let's try this and see what happens. I'll give you a first-hand shot of it here. Okay, there's that side. I just need to trim that up a little bit. Hopefully you can see that on camera, what I did to that. Break out my little file again. And I know that's really hard to see. But get the decoder out, make sure I got the front side, and Well, it'll almost slide in there. I just got to do a little maneuvering. Do a little filing there. And I'll probably get my saw back out and go at that again. Then I'm going to have to saw some of that out right there to get those little capacitors down in there. So I'm going to take a little break here and then we'll be back to do that. Alright, here we go again. Let's see. We are modifying the shell to accept the board and the speaker right now. So actually this is the front. So I need to get my, I believe those are little capacitors. I'll have to cut out the back. Need to get that cut out just a little more. Get my Dremel out. Back out. Let's see. All right. We'll go ahead and I'll cut the back out here, just like we did up the front. And how much of this you'll be able to see. And there is a weight back there. Now let me, I'm going to pull that weight out. I'm going to try to pull that weight out. Let's say that. Okay, there's that out of there. Now we'll see what we got here. I am going to have to file that out a little bit, I believe. And I may end up, I really hate to cut all that out because I'd like to keep it. I can get that slid, of course that's going to be the thing. How am I going to get that? That's going to have to slide in. Okay. Let's cut this. Let's see. Trying. Okay, now it looks like the rest of it I am going to have to do by hand. So I need to get in there. Let me see if I can cut it with these. That's they're not quite long enough. My shears aren't long enough to get in there. So how in the world can I get into that? I hate to try and use an X-Acto knife on it. I don't think I have a file small enough to I don't think I could file that out. No. Try this one, maybe it's a little thinner. Little jeweler's saw would be nice. Okay, there's that side. File this flat. So close. Break that out. Let's see where we're at. When I get that wide enough, I'll be able to take and slide that back in there, and that'll sit right down in. Should. I'm trying to do is flip this in here like that. Maybe that'd be the way to do it. Let's try something. I just need to get that clear. File some of that side down. Still need to file some of that down. Oop. Cleaner file. Not having any luck at all with that. And this way I'll be able to put my weight back in it. I can get this underneath. Hopefully. Let's try that. There we go. We got that back up in through there. I'll be able to, what I'll have to do, I'll have to cut my weight off. Actually, I may be able to slide it forward. That'll probably work. I can slide that forward. Still keep my weight in there. I think that'll work great. So let me file this a little bit. Nope, just a little more. The right file. I hate to take any out of that weight because I want this, I'd like this as heavy as I can get it. Take some of the bits of plastic out. So I'll end up, there we go. So that'll work like that. I'll have my decoder in here like that. Okay, so we'll be able to mount our board just like that. And then we'll have that speaker pointed down. Just like this. Something in here. We'll see if we can. So the speaker, that'll be the way the board is mounted. In there, I'll have to make a little enclosure. Cut me some styrene, build an enclosure for that. But I think that will work out good for that. I'll have to get this other weight out of the cab there for when I put my lights in. Right. So I've got the body, I think the way I want it. Well, except for this weight. Let me get this weight out of here. Luckily, whatever double-sided tape that is, it doesn't hold real well. Okay, so that's that. This back some. Don't need that there in the way. Some of this other stuff out of the way. Now I will have to modify that a little bit. We could run it on there backward. What do you think of that? Nah. I'll probably have to cut that off right there. Well, I know I will unless I drill a hole in that weight. But I don't really want to do that. Let me take this out. Okay, now I guess we are ready to create a little light box, and I think I'm just going to use the front and rear functions on this. I don't think I'm not going to light the number board. I may just light the number boards with the headlight bulb, because I could light the front and rear number boards, it looks like, yeah, they're clear. So I'm going to have to make up a set of LEDs for that. I guess that's my next step. Since I know where the decoder is going, I know where my lights will go. I've got an enclosure for the front to build, an enclosure for the back to build, and the enclosure for the back I'll probably incorporate the speaker into it. That may be the best thing to do. Might be the easiest thing to do. So I don't think I am going to show building that enclosure. I will show you, well, you'll see it when I'm done, but so I'll turn you off here. I'll build the enclosure, show you what they look like. And we'll go from there. Okay, I just want to kind of show this real quick. I don't want to go through the whole process of building this little box. But what this will do is this will set inside of the cab. You can see, let me get my pointer here. You can see right here, I have painted the top of the cab black, and that'll help with any light bleed that we have. But what will happen is I'll set this little box, and it is just the thickness of, it's the thickness between the top of the cab and the top of the plastic of the window. Now what I'll do is I'll drill a couple of holes in the front for my LEDs, and that way I'll have my headlight. You really can't see, well, yeah, you can see that. So, and like I said, I'm not going to light the number boards on this. I just want this something simple that I can take to shows, whatever. But what I use for this is a Northwest short lines, let me turn it around here, the chopper. So it works really well for styrene, and I made this out of, this is, the sides are 60 thousandths styrene and the top is 20 thousandths. So I just thought I'd show you that real quick. So I'm going to make the pieces for the speaker out of the same 60 thousandths material. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll get back and we'll install the rest of this. Okay, after a little bit of time there, I went through and I built out of some 60,000 styrene. I built that box down here for the front LED. And like I say, now I'm just going to use the headlight on that. So I've got one one LED in there, and then I made this speaker box, and the white stuff is a micro crystal clear, and that will dry perfectly clear. But this is a speaker box, and I mounted the LED in it also. So all I got to do now is Well, this will mount with the speaker facing like this. So, but what I'll do is I like to use RTV. This is a Permatex. It's ultra black is what it's called, but it's actually for engines. But I use it to fasten plastic into these models because it doesn't let light bleed through, and you can take it back off. If I want to remove all this stuff, I can take it out, and I'm going to apply this with a skewer. Just get a little bit in there. Won't need a whole lot. A little bit on this side. Yep. If I can get that. Just squeeze up through there. So I'll get this stuff in here. That'll seal the speaker in. And a little bit of trouble. My sealer, RTV, is plugged up. Leaning over here, I'm trying not to get my head in the picture. Of course, I don't know what you can see of that, what I'm doing. I'll show you when I get the sealer in it. I need to clean that out a little better. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Lay that over there. A little more. Put some, stick it on the edge of the box that I made. That'll help it. Okay. Now we'll get this sit down in here. Okay. All right. There's our speaker mounted in there. Now we're down to, all we have to do is mount the board. Well, I'm not going to mount the board quite yet. I'm going to take and let me tin this up. I will have to put a resistor on that, and let's see, that's a 2000. I don't think I'll need a 2000. I'll probably try, I've got some 450s. Let's see, what did I do with them? Okay, because I'll have to solder one of those, a resistor to the board. These are 470s. I have 470s, 680s, and I think these are 1000. Yeah. So I'm going to go with the let me go with the 1000, because if I go with anything I hate to go too small right off the bat because I don't want to burn them out. So, and I've got some of these that have been used, and I'll just reuse them. Put that away, get it out of the way. So we're really close to having this done. And the way I normally do these is, that's not the pliers that I want. The way I normally do my LEDs, I solder my resistors right to the board. Say if that's where that one goes, I solder it. I'll solder it right onto the board. Same for the front one. But what I need to do here now is go through and put a little bit of flux on the board. I know I'm going to be using this terminal. I'm going to be using this terminal. Those are my pickups for my track power. And then, let's see, how do I have that? Actually, I want to do the front ones instead of the rear ones. The front ones on the pickups, I'm going to be using these two. This is for the front headlight, and I'll be using the middle two here. This is for the rear headlight. And then I'll be using these two, or these two. Well, actually, I'll use all four of these. That is my motor, front, or motor and speaker. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Clean off the tip of that soldering iron. And then I am going to tin the pickups that I need. And this is a rinse, lather, and repeat kind of thing. A little more solder on. Clean that tip off. Speaker. Motor. Rear light. Okay, there's that. That's already tinned. I'll put my resistor in there. That I need to break off. Clean that tip off some. Put a little bend in this. It's already got some flux on it. Okay, so there's that. Get that out of the way. Okay, pull this back out. Now that board is going to be going like that. That'll sit. Yeah. Okay, that'll set like that. Now what I want to do, I'm going to cut off my wires here some, so I won't have quite as much sticking out. The bad part of that is I have to get down in there to strip the wire and solder the wire. So try and get this out of the way. I may have to move my resistor I think it'll be all right. Well, if I could do it, I'd cut them wires off short, but I can't cut them off that short, so I'll never get my fat fingers down in there to do anything with them. So what I'll end up doing, let me cut that off out there. Now I gotta flux that up again. Tin my wire again. Clean that off. Now I need a piece of heat shrink. We'll need a couple of pieces. Slide that onto that blue wire. Now, let's try I'll bend that around there with my pliers. Okay, there's that. Get my white one here. Flux. And those are almost too short. pliers back out. My heat shrink back up out of there. Always something there to fight. Okay, so there's that. Do the same thing back here. As tight as that fits, I'm not even going to have any double-sided tape on that to hold it in. Which that's a good thing. Wipe that flux up before it sets. And I might as well cut this one off while I'm at it. Okay, tin both of those up. Okay, now get that out of the way. Now I need another piece of heat shrink. Let's see. Magnet keeps grabbing my wire. Cut that off a little bit. I'm not going to cut it off a little bit. Well, I am on to, and we'll cut that end off just a touch, just so I can strip it back a little bit. And that one I can't get with my fingernails. So this one I'll do the same thing with. And I'll tin these up. Now, try and get them soldered. Into place. There's that one. Okay. Now, I know all that's been hard to see, or impossible to see, but what I have is the speaker wired up and the lights wired up and soldered to the board. So now all I have to do is bring this back out and solder everything together. And what I think I'll do is I'll take another piece of my styrene and I'm going to make like a little shield. That way I can keep the wires out of the motor, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to cut this right here in half. I want to be able to keep all of this out of the moving parts. So I'm going to make a piece that's about this long. Break out my little cutter here. Okay. And factory edge here. Okay, so that is the width of my square. Now I could measure that and make it precise, but why would I want to do that? That'll get me that. And I can take my X-Acto blade, and I do need it. Get my ruler out here just to make this straight. As long as that fits in there, which it doesn't. Trim just a skosh off of it. Need to get me a trash can. At least keep a trash can close. Okay. That will work for what I want to do with it. Actually, needs a little more off this end anyway. It moved on me. Now, okay, that'll work. Now what I'll do with that is I will take, and I'll end up putting double-sided tape on that to hold it down. but I want to just put a couple of small holes in this. That will be our that way I can run these wires. Well, I can run my wires up through that like that, and that'll keep them out of the moving parts. So let's get a couple more holes drilled. And I'll need two from my motor right in there, give or take. Then I've got that one. It'll come up my gray one right beside. And then I want to run, I'll run one for the black one back there. Cut those off, deburr it. Okay. Now, see if I can get all these up through here without too much trouble. And this is something new I'm trying. I've never really made a piece like this. But I think that it will work out very well. Just need to put a piece of double-sided tape on that. Dig that out. Yep, this is great double-sided tape. But I have the hardest time getting it started. And I've cut so much off of this that this little strip is coming out in 3 sections. Okay, there's that. We'll do that. Okay, there's my wire guard. Now all I have to do is connect everything back up. Turn that around to where it's facing the right way. Now I need to make sure, because my motor, they go over here on the side, and then my pickups and I'm going to have to dig out the manual for that. Actually, not the manual, but the wiring diagram. Not the wiring diagram. Yeah, the wiring diagram. Okay, here it is. Front right. Front left. Motors over there, front. So this is going to be my right. This is going to be my left rail pickup over here, and this will be my right since I'm upside down. So what I need to do, I will take and strip these. I'm going to leave kind of long. Let me cut that black wire off, just so I'll be able to remove the body. Here in just a few connections, we'll be able to test this thing out. See if we've either succeeded or failed. So there's that. Now we need to tin these up. So, to get my pliers to get that situated in there. Yep, that's right. and I didn't flux that one down there. Or I did flux it, I didn't tin it. That's what I didn't do. Try and get that wire out of the way. Come over here and do it. Okay, there is that. Now I'm just down to my motor. And I am going to cut some of that off. Right. We're down to the last two. And I need those. Okay, that should be everything. I should be able to get, let's get my test track, or a little piece of track. And we'll see what happens. And I'll leave this camera on to find my leads. Seems like I gotta find everything when I start doing this. Red, black, black, red, get some of this stuff out of the way here first. Okay. Just so I don't have to fool with all kind of things in the way. Just going to kind of temporarily set this up. And it is not, the body's not all the way down. See what I've got here. Plugged it in. Actually, let me take that off there first. Get that started up. Hopefully we won't let the... Well, we didn't let the smoke out. So far, so good. See if we have any. Okay. It will move. Let's try the other direction. All right. So we do have it does move, and I think I've got too big of resistors in this thing because I see no lights. But I'm just happy. That sounds really good. Unhook this thing. Take that off the track. Move this down a little bit. So we do have forward and reverse. I need to look at the lights. I may have too big of a resistor in there. I know the lights work because I tested them. So, and if they don't, I'm not too worried about. Like I say, this thing is just going to be for like shows and whatnot. And actually, I've got another one. Well, I said that at the beginning of this to put together also. So I'm going to turn you off right there. I'm going to troubleshoot this a little bit, see if I can get these, see if I can get my lights to work. Hopefully I don't need to put in a bigger resistor. Well, I know I'm going to have to put in maybe a smaller resistor. Okay. I'll bring you back when I get done here. Alright, we finished up our Soundtraxx install in this Athearn, ready to run. And now we'll just go through, and as you can see, I've got the headlight on there. But let's start that up and hear what it sounds like. Kind of notch up through just a little bit. Nothing big. Notch it up another step. So I think this project has turned out really well. I'll shut that down. Turn that sound off. But that concludes this project. And I do have another one, another Norfolk Southern, a GP38-2, that I'll run in consist with this one. It'll have the same decoder in it, so look for that video coming up here pretty soon. And thanks for watching.